that is allocated, and thank you very much, I think, for those initial remarks. I have the next architect on the panel, Amit Khanna, who would be going in next. Amit, you would also stick to 2 minutes? Yes, sure, go ahead.
Not as illustrious as the rest, but I'll still have a go. I have a lot in common with the previous speaker in the sense that I'm also an architect. I'm also trained as a city specialist. But in a context like this, I have the choice of being optimistic or I have the choice of being empirical. And I'm going to sort of exert my choice for being empirical. So no good news in this session. Technology is being touted as, I should say, technology for urban services delivery and green buildings is being touted as the solution for all our problems. We are in a smart cities conference. I think Gautam said smart several times, more than I can count. But I want to challenge that the technological solution is the next industrial evolution. It isn't. It may be the foundation of something that would become the next industrial revolution, but this can't be. We're building a huge number of buildings around the world because urban centers are growing, rural centers are urbanizing. Whether it's, transport, residential, institutional, there's a lot of buildings out there being made. I was in a conference a few weeks ago where the Minister for Development said that we need 700 to 900 million square feet annually in India. Even if you were to scale down the rhetoric, we do need a lot of buildings. Now these, they have to be made, and we have a choice as to how we want to make them, right? We can either make them in this way. So this for me is a stupid building, right? The one we're in. We're using artificial lighting while it's bright and shiny outside. We're air conditioning it because everyone here is following a certain culture of wearing a certain kind of clothes to conference. I mean, we're all wearing 2-3 layers, which is, it's a cultural problem. But our parameters for evaluating green buildings need to be more than just physical, right? As long as you get so many lumens, as long as it's so many degrees inside the room, it's fine. It doesn't matter what you have to do to achieve it. And that simply can't be the solution anymore. We have a lot of talk of whether an approach to green buildings should be top-down or bottom-up. And I think what Gautam spoke about was a sort of a top-down approach, that you have a global management of buildings at a centralized location and the decisions are taken centrally. And I think we need to sort of enable bottom-up as well. So if a worker, even though the air conditioning has been set just so for him, if he wants to open the window should be openable, right? It cannot be a solution where it's hermetically sealed to achieve certain benchmarks. Talking of benchmarks, I think service level benchmarks in the Indian construction industry are completely irrelevant. We talk about delivering to 90 percentile of a certain parameter, and that parameter may or may not be relevant in that particular context. So the service level benchmark of delivery needs to be a macro issue, but a micro detailed way. Gautam spoke about a presentation he made to Oxford, right? And I'm going to pick on you, I'm sorry, but and it's very close to my heart. It's my alma mater, and I want to talk about both of my college buildings. My first college building was a 50-year-old sort of PWD built building, which is right here at ITO, School of Planning and Architecture. And my postgraduate alma mater building was maybe 300 years old, which is in the city of Oxford. And I think both those buildings had something going for them. They were both adaptable. They were both consuming a very small amount of energy to run. And they were around long enough for them to not be a problem anymore. The carbon footprint of those buildings was embedded into them, and the fact that they were still being used is a big plus. We abandon our buildings with glee these days. I mean, we are tearing down Pragati Maidan for a new vision of Pragati Maidan. And perhaps we don't need to abandon our old buildings with, such franticness. I'm going to leave you with one very small snippet. I think we need to accept that climate change is the single most important factor that will drive urbanization. There's a climate change or sort of city specialist known as David Satterthwaite. He tweeted today that his grandkids are probably going to live till 2100. And 2100 is the time that most people predict that the oceans are going to turn acidic, the CO2 in the air is going to cross a certain threshold, etc. It's the doomsday scenario. And it's becoming more real day by day. We now have people being born right now who may live to see 2100. And so the action that we need to take cannot be part of a techno-sanguine discourse that technology is going to solve all the problems associated to green buildings. We have to be more sensible about it at the micro level itself. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you. Let's not be part of the problem.
Yeah. Amit, I think, yeah, thank you very much for your thoughts.